Good morning, students. Today we have to start from the second paragraph of page 60. So on the last turn, we came to know about what type of a person Sir Alexander was. And the story began in an auction room, right? And a small Chinese statue was brought there for auction, right? So which made the writer very curious, and then the story goes back into the flashback, and we are introduced to Sir Alexander Heathcote, who is a very exact and a disciplined man. And then we are told how he was promoted and how he rose higher in his office, in his work. And then finally he was sent to Peking. How he landed in Peking, where he always wanted to be, because he was very much fascinated by the Ming dynasty and the art and culture of the Ming dynasty, right? So he finally went to Peking. He was very happy when he was sent to Peking as a minister. When Sir Alexander arrived in Peking after a journey by sea and land that took his party nearly 2 months. So those were the good old days when it took a lot of time to travel. So he took nearly 2 months to reach Peking. He presented his seals, patents to the Empress Zhu Xi, and a personal letter for her private reading from Queen Victoria. So when he went to Peking, when he reached Peking, and then he presented himself in front of the Queen, the Empress of China. The name of the Empress was Zhu Xi, and then he gave a letter which was sent for her by Queen Victoria. The Empress, dressed from head to toe in white and gold, received her new ambassador. He was an ambassador to China. So, ambassador in the throne room of the imperial palace. She read the letter from the British monarch while Sir Alexander remained standing to attention. So, Sir Alexander kept on standing there while the Empress read the letter. Her Imperial Highness revealed nothing of its contents to the new minister. So what was written in the letter, that was not revealed to Sir Alexander. It was a letter from Queen Victoria for the Empress of China. Sir Alexander just carried that letter along with himself, and then he handed the letter to the Queen, to the Empress of China. She read the letter, but she did not tell anything about what was written in the letter to Sir Alexander, only wishing him a successful term of office in his appointment. So she just welcomed him and wished him a successful term. And then she then moved her lips slightly up at the corner, which Sir Alexander judged correctly to mean that the audience has come to an end. So then she lifted her lips slightly upward, and which meant that now the meeting has ended and now he's supposed to leave. So the audience has come to an end means that this this conversation which was going, this meeting between the Queen and between the Empress of China and Sir Alexander has ended, and now he should take his leave. As he was conducted back through the great halls of the imperial palace by a Mandarin. Who is a Mandarin? Mandarin is also the official language of China and people of China. Here the meaning is of an interpreter and a guide who was given to Sir Alexander by the Queen. Right? Because obviously he was in China and he was not acquainted with the language of the people there. So he was given a Mandarin who will be his interpreter and guide as long as he will be there in China. So by a Mandarin in long court dress of black and gold. Sir Alexander walked as slowly as possible, taking in the magnificent collection of the ivory and jade statue. What is jade? Jade is a gemstone, green in color, right? So it is used in making ornaments. It's normally green in color. So that is jade. And ivory, I know, ivory is obtained from the elephants, right, which were scattered casually around the building, much in the way Cellini and Michelangelo today lie stacked against each other in Florence. So there were a lot of, in that imperial palace, there were a lot of statues which were made in of jade and ivory, and they were scattered all over the palace, like the works of Cellini and Michelangelo. They lie stacked against one another. They are kept in Florence. So these two are the great Italian sculptors, artists, we call them, right? So this Cellini and Michelangelo, they were the Italian sculptors, right? And great artists, engravers, goldsmith. So painter, Michelangelo was a painter also, an architect also. So their works, they lie stacked. So in a similar manner, these statues, they were scattered all over the palace. So this made Sir Alexander very happy, and his pace reduced. He was walking as slowly as possible so that he can have a close look at those statues, that magnificent collection of the statues of ivory and jade which were kept there. As his ministerial appointment was for only 3 years, Sir Alexander took no leave, but preferred to use his time to put the embassy behind him and travel on horseback into the outlying districts to learn more about the country and its people. Because his term was only for 3 years, he was only supposed to be in China for 3 years. So, and he wanted to know more and more about the Chinese art, Chinese culture. So he didn't take any leave, not even a single leave in his period of 3 years. And what he used to do, he used to travel on horseback into the outskirts of Peking, right? Countryside, he used to travel and so that he is able to learn more and more, he is able to know more and more and more about the Chinese people and their culture. On these trips, he was always accompanied by the mandarin. And whenever he used to travel, like whenever he got time from his office, he used to travel on horseback to the different places, to the outskirts. And so, and whenever he used to move out, Mandarin was always there along with him from the palace staff, who acted as his interpreter and guide. So one Chinese person was always there with him, who was appointed, who was given to him by the palace, by the queen, and he acted as his interpreter and guide on such travels. On one such journey, passing through the muddy streets of a small village with but a few houses called Halichuan. So once he was traveling like this, the way he used to move on horseback. So one day he was traveling on horseback and he came to the village of Halichuan, where there were not many houses. There were only few houses because the village was a very small village. And the name of the village was Halichuan, a distance of some 50 miles from Peking. So this village was situated at a distance of around 50 miles from Peking. Sir Alexander chanced upon an old craftsman's working place. And when he reached there, he happened to see an old craftsman workshop was there, right? And the old craftsman was working there. Leaving his servants, the minister dismounted from his horse and entered the ramshackle wooden workshop to admire the delicate pieces of ivory and jade that cramped the shelves from floor to the ceiling. Ramshackle means in a very bad condition, not in a proper condition, means requiring a lot of repair work. So that is ramshackle. So when he saw this workshop of an old man, what he did, he just got down from his horse, left his servants and the staff which was accompanying him there, and then he entered that wooden workshop to admire all the statues and the great pieces which were kept in that workshop. Crammed the shelves. Crammed the shelves means they were like the shelves were loaded with those statues. They were fully stacked with those statues made by the old man. Although modern, the pieces were superbly executed by an experienced craftsman. So though the statues, they were modern, they were the latest statues, but still the work was done with great skill. It was like an example of great art. Though they were not antique pieces, they were not very old pieces, they belong to the present time, but still the work was superbly done. And it seems that the person who has made those statues is a highly experienced craftsman. And the minister entered the little hut with the thought of acquiring a small memento of his journey. And he entered the hut with the plan that he will buy a small memento, which will be his memory of this trip. So with this objective in mind, the minister, that is Sir Alexander Leithcourt, he entered that small hut. Once in the shop, he could hardly move in any direction for fear of knocking something over. So once he was inside that shop, it was very difficult for him to move, right? He was finding it very difficult to move. Why? Because there were two reasons for it. One reason was that he was very tall, right? Above the normal height. And then it was a small hut. And the other reason was that the entire workshop was crammed and stacked with many statues. So he was afraid that he will knock against one or two of the statues and they will fall down. So the building had not been designed for a 6 foot 3¼ visitor. So that workshop had not been designed for such a tall visitor. So that is why Sir Alexander was finding it difficult to move inside that small hut. Sir Alexander stood still and enthralled. Enthralled means he was charmed, he was completely mesmerized with the sight which was there in front of him, right? As it is, he was a great admirer of Chinese art. And then he saw so many statues made in jade and ivory lying there in front of him. The entire shop, the entire workshop was crammed with statues, right? So he was completely charmed and mesmerized at the sight of so many statues there. Taking in the fine scented jasmine smell that hung in the air, an old craftsman bustled forward in the long blue pulley robe and flat black hats to greet him. So, and then he was inhaling the smell of jasmine which was coming from that place that hung in the air, that was present there in the air. And then when he was doing so, when he was admiring those statues which were kept there, an old craftsman bustled forward. Bustle forward means to move in a very excited manner, right? Must have seen the way the Chinese move. So he bustled forward in a long blue pulley robe, and he was wearing a long robe. You must have seen the traditional dress of Chinese people, right? They wear a robe kind of dress. So it was a blue pulley robe and flat black hat. And then a flat hat was dressed in a pulley robe and flat black colored hat, and he came forward moving in a very excited manner to greet Sir Alexander. A jet black plaited pigtail fell down his back, so a small ponytail kind of a thing, pigtail was there. It should be bowed. Remove that L from here. Right? He bowed very low and then looked up at the giant from him. So this is the way the Chinese greet. So he bowed in front of him very low and then looked up at the giant from England. Why the giant from England? Because he was a very tall person, right? So he then looked up. First he bowed, means he greeted him, and then he looked up at the giant structure standing in front of him, that is Sir Alexander. The minister returned the bow while the Mandarin explained who Sir Alexander was and his desire to be allowed to look at the work of the craftsman. So because the craftsman didn't understand English and Sir Alexander was unaware of Chinese, so the Mandarin translated, he acted as the interpreter. He explained to the craftsman who was there, he explained to that old man that why Sir Alexander is there and what he wants. He wanted to have a look at those statues which were kept there, and he should be given the permission to do so. And he told the craftsman about who Sir Alexander actually was. The old man was nodding his agreement even before the Mandarin has come to the end of his lecture. The old man gave his consent, right? Nodded in agreement even before the Mandarin, the interpreter, was able to complete his sentence. For over an hour, the minister sighed and chuckled as he studied many of the pieces with admiration and finally returned to the old man to praise his skill. So, for more than an hour, he continued admiring the statues which were kept there. And this made him so happy. He was very happy, admiring. Chuckling means when you laugh inside, right? Not a very loud laughter. So, a laughter which is very quiet, laugh quietly. So that is chuckling. So this made him very happy from inside, and he studied many pieces with admiration. And then when he was done, when he had admired the statues which were kept there in that workshop, what he did, he came to this old man, that Chinese man, to praise his skill. The craftsman bowed once again, and his shy smile revealed no teeth, but only genuine pleasure at Sir Alexander's compliment. So there's a smile. He smiled. He smiled without showing the teeth. So he also, the old man also smiled without showing his teeth, and which was like an acknowledgement of Sir Alexander's compliment, and the compliments of Sir Alexander made him feel really happy. Pointing a finger to the back of the shop, he beckoned the two important visitors to follow him. So then he pointed a finger. This old man pointed a finger to the back side of the shop and gestured. Beckon means when you gesture someone to come or to follow. So he beckoned these two men, two important visitors which were there in his workshop, to follow him, to that place. They did so and entered the veritable Aladdin street, with row upon row of beautiful miniature emperors and classical. So they followed, they obeyed what this old man asked them to do, and they went to that back portion of the workshop. And what was there? It was a veritable Aladdin's cave. Means it was truly a very small cave like a thing, with row upon row of beautiful miniature. And there were more statues kept there, row upon row, arranged in rows, in different rows, and these statues were of miniature emperors and classical figures. These statues which were kept there of emperors and the Chinese emperors and the other classical figures. The minister could have happily settled down in the orgy of ivory for at least a week. So the minister could have settled at that place. This made the minister feel so exhilarated, right? He was so happy that he could have been there at that place for almost a week. Sir Alexander and the craftsman chatted away to each other through the interpreter, and the minister's love and knowledge of Ming dynasty was soon revealed. So Sir Alexander started talking with the craftsman through the interpreter. The interpreter was doing the job of translating to each other, and so they continued talking about this Chinese art to this Mandarin who was there. And then this craftsman, he came to know about the knowledge, about the love which Sir Alexander possessed about the Ming dynasty. His love for the Ming dynasty, his admiration for the Ming dynasty was very soon revealed to the craftsman. The craftsman came to know that Sir Alexander possesses a good deal of knowledge about the Ming dynasty, and he's one of the admirers of the Ming dynasty. The little craftsman's face lit up with this discovery, and he turned to the Mandarin and in a hushed voice made a request. So this made the craftsman feel very happy when he realized that Sir Alexander is also very fond of the Ming dynasty, and so he was very happy to know this fact, and he turned to the Mandarin and in whispers he said something. he made a request into the Mandarin's ears. Right? Hushed voice means not very loudly. The Mandarin nodded his agreement and translated. So the Mandarin nodded in agreement, and then he translated whatever was uttered by the craftsman to Sir Alexander. I have, Your Excellency, a piece of Ming myself that you might care to see. The statue that has been in the family for over 7 generations. So this was the reason for his happiness. He said that, sir, now if you are interested in the Ming dynasty, you are an admirer of the Ming dynasty, so I have something to show you. I have something which is really one of my prized possessions, and that is a piece of the Ming myself. Right? So I possess that Ming myself. I have a very old statue of the Ming emperor, an emperor of the Ming dynasty, which you would like to see. The statue had been with our family for the past 7 generations. So now you can imagine how old the statue was. I should be honored, said the minister. So the minister said that I will be really honored to have a look at that statue. So the minister said, I should be honored, said the minister. It is I who would be honored, Your Excellency, said the little man. So the little man said that, no, I would be honored to show you that piece of the statue. Why? Because you are an admirer of art, and letting you have a look at that statue will be an honor for me, said the little man, who thereupon scampered out of the back door, nearly falling over a stray dog and onto an old peasant house a few yards behind the workshop. So then, after saying that he will be the one who will be honored, this little old man, right, who was the craftsman, what he did, he moved quickly, right? So scampering means moving quickly with short steps. That is a scampering. You must have seen the way the Chinese, no, they normally walk. It's not running also, it's not walking also. So that is scampering. So when you move with the short steps, right? They take very short steps and they move very quickly. So that is scampering. So he scampered out of the back door of that workshop, nearly falling over a stray dog. And there was a stray dog on the road, and he almost fell over it, and onto an old peasant house a few yards behind the workshop. And then he moved inside the old peasant house, which was at a distance of few yards from that workshop. The minister and the Mandarin remained in the back room. So the minister and the Mandarin, they remained in that room waiting for this craftsman. For Sir Alexander knew the old man would never have considered inviting. Now this was one of the Chinese tradition. This is important. The old man would have never considered inviting an honored guest into his humble home until they had known each other for many years, and only then after he had been invited to Sir Alexander's home first. So this was a Chinese tradition. We'll come to know a few Chinese traditions from this story. So the old man and the minister and the Mandarin, they remained in the back room. Why? Because Sir Alexander was acquainted with the old Chinese tradition. And what was it? That an honored guest is not invited by someone who is lower in status, right? A person who is lower in status will not invite someone who is higher in status to his house until the time they know each other quite well. They are well acquainted with each other. They are known to each other for many years. Or first Sir Alexander has invited him, or first that honored guest has invited that humble person to his house, right? So first the person who is higher in rank, higher in status, higher in social status, he needs to invite the person who is lower in status. Then only the person who is lower in status will be able to invite the honored guest. So that was one of the Chinese traditions. Now, because Sir Alexander's position was higher, in comparison to the craftsman. So the craftsman cannot invite Sir Alexander to his house. And so that is why. And then they were not acquainted to each other for several years. They were meeting for the first time. So because this was the Chinese tradition and Sir Alexander was aware of this Chinese tradition, so he patiently waited, right? And he was not offended that the old man didn't invite him to his house because it was a part of their tradition that he cannot invite Sir Alexander to his house. A few minutes passed before the little blue figure came trotting back. And then they waited for a few minutes and then they saw the blue figure, that is the craftsman. Why blue figure? Because he was dressed in a blue robe. So that is why he has been addressed as the blue figure, came trotting back. Trotting again means moving with short steps, right? Not running and not walking. Pigtail bouncing up and down on his shoulders. So, and the pigtail, that is the tail which he has made of his hair at the back of his head. It was when he was running, when he was trotting. So it was bouncing up and down over his shoulder. He was now clinging on to something that from the very way he held it close to his chest had to be a treasure. So what he was doing while he was running with quick short steps. So while running, he was holding something in his hand close to his chest. And the way it was, the way he was holding, the way the craftsman was holding that particular thing close to his chest, it made it quite obvious that that particular thing is very valuable to him, is a treasure to him. See, whenever something is precious to us, we hold it close to our chest, right? We hold it very properly and near to us. So the way he was holding it made it very obvious that it is definitely some valuable treasure of this old craftsman. The craftsman passed the piece over to the minister to study. And when he reached his workplace, he handed that piece, that is the statue which he had brought from his house, to the minister to have a look at it. Sir Alexander's mouth opened wide and he could not hide his excitement. And the moment Sir Alexander had a look at the statue, the moment he looked at the statue, his mouth opened wide, means he was awestruck, he was surprised. The little statue, no more than 6 inches of height, was of the Emperor Kung. So this statue was of Emperor Kung, who was an emperor of the Ming dynasty. The height of the statue was 6 inches. And as fine an example of Ming as the minister had seen. And it was one of the finest examples of the Ming dynasty, of the statues of the Ming dynasty, which Sir Alexander had seen till date. Sir Alexander felt confident that the maker was the great Penqiu, who had been patronized by the emperor. And when he looked at the statue, Sir Alexander was confident that this statue was made by no one else except Penqiu. Penqiu again was one of the greatest sculptors one of the greatest Chinese sculptor who lived during this period, that is the Ming dynasty, during the era of the Ming dynasty. He lived. So minister was confident, that means the Sir Alexander was confident that this statue has been made by none else than Penqiu. So he thought this statue to be an antique one, right, made by Penqiu, who lived during the time of the Ming dynasty, who had been patronized by the emperor. And Emperor Kung patronized Penqiu, means Penqiu lived during the time of Emperor Kung, and so he made this statue of Emperor Kung. So that the date must have been around the turn of the 15th century. So this was Sir Alexander's estimation that the statue was of the 15th century, and it was definitely an antique piece. The statue's only blemish was, but the statue had one flaw. So the statue's blemish means only flaw, only defect. The statue's only defect was that the ivory base on which such pieces usually rest was missing. See, whenever you see a statue, what happens? The statue is normally kept on a or fixed on a flat rectangular basis there, or square also might be there, but normally it's a rectangular base. So the statue is fixed on that base. So this was the only defect of the statue, that the base was missing, and a small stick protruded from the bottom of the imperial. Imperial robes means the robes of the statue. The statue was of Emperor Kung. So from the dress which the emperor was wearing, means the statue was wearing, from underneath that dress, a stick was protruding. Why was the stick there? So that it could be fixed on some base. So a stick was jutting out, a stick was coming out from underneath the imperial robes of the emperor, and the base was missing. This was the only defect of that statue. But in the eyes of Sir Alexander, nothing could detract from its overall beauty. But this defect, this flaw of the statue, that the base was missing, was completely ignored by Sir Alexander, because he was completely lost, mesmerized in the beauty of that statue. Right? This flaw was not able to distract or detract Sir Alexander from admiring the beauty of that statue. Although the craftsman's lips did not move, his eyes glowed with the pleasure his guest evinced as he studied the ivory finish. So, although the craftsman was just standing there looking at Sir Alexander. So, his lips did not move. He didn't say anything, but his eyes glowed with pleasure. But he was very happy on seeing the expressions on Sir Alexander's face. The happiness which he was able to give to Sir Alexander, to his guest, made him feel very happy. The pleasure his guest evinced means the pleasure which was very evident, the pleasure which was very obvious from the expression of Sir Alexander, made the craftsman's eyes glow. Right? There was a glow in his eyes on looking at the expression of Sir Alexander. Evince means evident, right? As he studied the ivory. So Sir Alexander was lost, completely lost in admiring that statue. You think the statue is good? Ask the craftsman through the interpreter. So the craftsman through the interpreter, the Mandarin who was there, along with Sir Alexander, he asked to him that did he like the statue? Did Sir Alexander like the statue? Did he find the statue to be good? It's magnificent, the minister replied. So the minister replied that it is magnificent, it is mind-blowing, it is wonderful, quite magnificent. My own work is not worthy to stand by its side, added the craftsman. So the craftsman said that it is quite magnificent. Any of my pieces are not worthy enough to be kept by its side. In comparison to this particular statue, all my creations, all the statues which you have seen till now in my workshop, they are worthless if you compare them to this particular piece. No, no, said the minister. So now the minister tried to be modest, right? He didn't want to discourage the craftsman. He said, no, no, said the minister, though in truth, the little craftsman knew the great man was only being kind. So the little craftsman understood, right? So the minister said, no, no, it's not so. Your work is also good. This is what the minister meant. This is what the minister wanted to say, right? This was the meaning of the minister when he uttered no, no. But the craftsman, he understood that he was just trying to be kind. He was just trying to behave in a polite, modest manner. For Sir Alexander was holding the ivory statue in a way that already showed the same love as the old man has for the piece. And the way Sir Alexander was holding that statue, and admiring it, right? It made it very obvious that Sir Alexander was also having that same feeling of love and admiration for the statue which was possessed by the craftsman, who was the owner of that statue. The minister smiled down at the craftsman. as he handed back the emperor throne. So then the minister handed the statue to the craftsman as he handed, and then he smiled at the craftsman. And then he uttered perhaps the only undiplomatic words he has ever spoken in 35 years of serving this queen and country. See, he was a diplomat, right? He was a diplomat. Ambassadors are diplomats, right? So they think before they speak anything. They have to be very judicious as far as the use of words is concerned, right? They have to be very tactful while using words, what they say, where they say, in front of whom they utter. So that is what has been mentioned here, that Sir Alexander, while handing the statue back to the craftsman, he uttered the only undiplomatic word he had ever spoken in 35 years of serving his queen and the country. These were the only undiplomatic. Undiplomatic here words means that insensitive, without careful thought. It's just like he blurted out whatever he felt. At times it happens now that we don't think before speaking. So he also didn't think before speaking. So these were the most tactless words which Sir Alexander uttered in his 35 years of serving the queen and his country. And what were those words? Those words were, how I wish the peace was mine. Right? Means he was not able to resist himself from expressing his desire of possessing that statue. Right? It just came inside him. He just had a very strong feeling that he wanted to have that statue, and he expressed that feeling without thinking. Right? And once he uttered, what happened? Those words were heard by the Mandarin, and then the Mandarin translated those words to the craftsman. Right? I think it's almost time, and we should stop here. We move ahead tomorrow from this place. Thank you.